was 9 o'clock at night, and I was running for my life down the Rue Fouchette. There was a cloud of tear gas behind me, and in the middle of that cloud were about a dozen CRS goons, the biggest policemen you've ever seen in your life, with huge batons and helmets. They had just stormed the barricades that we had built at Place Michel. Every shop was closed, and every door was locked. And I was hoping that I could get to the Seine and jump in. But when I got to Saint-Jacques, there was a whole bus full of CRS guys. And so I cut across the street. Now I'm in Rue La Boucherie, and I see a light. One light. And I run down, and I see this light. It's on inside of a crazy old bookstore. And there's an old man at the desk. He's all alone. I run in the door. I'm wearing an American football helmet. I have a scarf across my face like this, an old trench coat around me. And I look at him, and I go, CRS. And he goes, get upstairs. And I ran upstairs. He flicked off the lights, shut the door. We both ran up, and I looked down, and we saw them running by, screaming and pounding the cobblestones. And then I looked up, and there across the Seine, there's Notre Dame and the far tower. At the top of the tower, these students are up there, and they hung the biggest red flag you ever saw, blowing out over the Place Notre Dame, kilometer zero. And he looks and he grabs my arm, and he says, isn't this the greatest moment of your entire life? And that's how I first met George Whitman.
Too many books. People come to my door as so tumbleweeds drifting in the winds of chance, and I like to think they go out as enlightened citizens of the universe.
That bookstore is a sort of a labyrinth, sort of sanctuary of consciousness. To me, the labyrinth is like about consciousness. You know, Daedalus taking the string and going in the maze for the Minoan king. Whitman was sort of like that Minoan king or the temple priest, and we all had our own little strings or threads that came into that labyrinth, and it was like a little catacombs of books. That famous toilet, the toilet paper was even books, you know, there that you would tear a page out.
boiling hot water. Wait till it's hot. Wait till it's hot. It's not hot yet. Now it's hot water. Throw it all in. Don't hold up. Don't hold up. Throw it all in. All of it. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. What are you doing? Jesus, I asked you not to waste time. Needs a lot of salt. Always need more. Never enough. What's the idea of putting this?
George is the most American person I've known. He's pragmatic.
Ready?
Jobs have to be done. Let's not pay anybody. Just so people sleep, they clean, they do this, they do that. It's a way of saving money. It's American, it's Yankee, you know, it's horse trading. Well, sleep in my tent, but clean my horse.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's phony as hell. This guy never helps a bit. Just putting on a show for the cinema.
No.
Never. He never does it. He never ever once. Just putting on a show for the cinema. Am I in your way, Chef? Go on, carry on. Keep making them. Damn fool. What the hell is the point of that? We don't have time to watch the bus drive in the house. Newspapers to the under end.
I was told there was no egg in the pancake, but there was definitely something other than flour, water and sugar. I suspected, although I've never consumed a cleaning product, there was something like an abrasive cleaner. My body was kind of trying to tell me there's something not quite right.
On his pancake day, you know, on Sundays, they always take a plastic bag and just go, yeah, thanks very much, into the plastic bag, but I don't know, you know, I think it's good. I have to say that.
Cet endroit est absolument féerique. Je pense que ce qu'il a fait est quelque chose de merveilleux parce qu'il a perpétué la tradition de Sylvia Beach, c'est-à-dire qu'il a consacré sa vie à aider les écrivains et à aider le livre. Le livre ici, c'est quelque chose de spirituel et c'est absolument extraordinaire. Il y a des petits coins et des recoins avec des lits partout. Les jeunes arrivent ici, il leur offre le lit, il leur offre un toit et ils peuvent rester ici tant qu'ils veulent et écrire. Et en contrepartie, ils aident un peu, ils vendent le livre en bas, ils font un peu le ménage, etc. Mais c'est extraordinaire.
It's become an emblem of a lot of what people imagine and like and wish about literary Paris. The idea that you can come to Paris still and live on a shoestring and sleep in a sort of flop house and get a part-time job and be a writer. And George very much encourages that view of keeping the shop up in that particular unprofessional style.
George?
Yes.
Pancakes?
No. Glue. Thank you very much.
Theoretically, they had to work
an hour in exchange for their bed, but it depended who they were. If they were writers, then all they were supposed to do was make their bed in the morning. They didn't have to do any physical work. They were worked according to how George liked them. I mean, if he liked them, they didn't do much work. Whereas the people who were just ordinary guests there, they had to go and find their shower somewhere else.
Pancakes?
Yeah.
I think there are two levels of residents here. There are the young kids who live on the ground floor, and then there are the usually older people who have some professional writing experience on the troisième, the third floor.
It's a manuscript for a film. This is the only one I have with me. I did not know that I would pass you. Otherwise I would have some novellas or something.
Okay, all right. But you never made the film, did you?
No, I have not made the film.
Okay.
Yet.
And you want to stay 1 week, you say?
Yes, please.
Well, it's downstairs.
Yes.
You can stay for supper here.
Yes, thank you very much.
So we bought 2 cartons of Lucky Strike cigarettes and caught a bus to Barcelona and then to Paris. We found a park on the Seine River to sleep in. All our cigarettes got stolen. And then the next day, we were just walking around looking for something to do. We were broke. We were walking up the street here and we saw the bookstore. Craig wanted to stop and look at it. I didn't care. And I stayed here for 2 months. I mean, you stay here, you give a little time and work, and you don't have to pay lodging, and you have shelter, live cheap. If you use a mild amount of stimulants, you don't have to eat so much. Both tobacco, alcohol, and cocaine are appetite suppressants. And I can go usually 2-3 days without eating. And then I'll have a meal, and again, another day and a half, 2 days without eating.
Unfortunately, we're anarchists here, and we don't have rules, and if we did, rules are when we break something in anarchist hangout. We do have a rule, we invite people for a week. But to show you how pathetic our management is, there's one guy been living here for 5 years.
Excuse me, lads, but...
He came here as an alcoholic, ne'er-do-well.
I didn't go looking for the job.
Pretty close to derelict.
Oh, yeah, well, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Black sheep of the family.
If you told me that I would be happy living in such a place, I would have looked at you in amazement.
Then he got interested in books, and he started writing poetry, translating Claude Simon and other French writers, and Céline, and he's been rehabilitated himself all on his own.
Thank God for alcohol free. I can drink about half a dozen of them, not get drunk, and it can calm my nerves. You know, there's a lot to be said for being a reformed character. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit. If you want to do something, repair that 2,000 francs. Covered, I just bought.
Il y a un poète perdu dans Georges. Il a un côté fleur bleue comme ça, un côté poétique, un côté sentimental, mais ça ferme vite, hein.
Wait, no, don't put it over there.
No, well, I need to put it somewhere.
Right here. Well, that's not a flat surface, not a flat surface.
Oh, I've often heard him bark at customers and insult. He makes a regular practice out of insulting people. He clearly needs it to get his blood going.
That's the prices that Mark didn't it? 150
No, I was told 125 earlier.
225 is it?
125.
Who told you that?
The guy who worked here earlier today.
That guy's been cutting the price on everything.
Well, it's much more than that. You won't sell it.
It can't be. No, 125. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, how much do you want for it?
I told you we can't handle that. We can't.
Illustrés, ils sont illustrés, hein. Oui, c'est leur complément. Vous m'avez dit que vous me complétez la dernière fois, moi j'ai apporté le reste. Hein. Ouais. Si, dans le récit.
Moi j'ai pas d'endroit, vous devez insister. Give them 200 francs.
Les gens disent que c'est un vieil avare qui a des bas de laine et qui a des louis d'or cachés sous son matelas. Personne ne sait. Ça fait plus de 40 ans que je connais Georges et je ne sais rien sur sa vie personnelle, sur ses moyens financiers, sur sa famille. Je ne sais rien. C'est quelqu'un qui est très discret, pour ne pas dire secret, sur ces choses-là.
Well, this collection, Nelson, no longer issue now.
No one buys them now.
I thought they might. There's this author.
This is a book I found in George's 5-franc box. It's Janet Flanner's copy, and it's annotated throughout with Janet Flanner's text. You know, Janet Flanner was a major figure here. Tossed out by George for 5 francs, and that's typical.
People they open up books and find 20,000 francs stuck in the book that George has forgotten about. This has happened many times.
I doubt whether it's the kind of thing that W.H. Smith would encourage.
A good-looking young English girl comes in, and he says, well, would you mind watching the cash box for a few minutes? I'll be back. And he comes back 6 hours later, and she doesn't know anything except she's just sitting there making change.
That's another 4. That's 20.
You counted that, didn't you?
Yeah, this is 10. This is 10.
You got newspaper?
Oh. 1. Okay, so 1.
Oh, good. Come on, tell me the number.
1.
Si tu arrives en étant gentil, tout ça, tu vas te faire rembarrer. Si tu arrives quelquefois en étant un peu désagréable, il sera gentil. Si tu es neutre, il va te poser des questions.
I've witnessed acts of real generosity on his part. To counterbalance that, I've witnessed acts of incredible gratuitous cruelty as well. I've seen him beat a guy with a frying pan. But there's a wonderful line in William Burroughs in one of his books where he says, "Nobody owns life, but anyone who can pick up a frying pan owns death." And, even in his little gestures, sometimes George could make a very literary allusion.
So the first day I stayed there, I didn't see him. Then I woke up in the morning, and everyone was out there being quite serious and working away. So I brought out, these milk cartons, and there was a big 2x4, huge, that he makes, a bench out of. So I put the milk cartons down for, the legs, and then I took the books out of some boxes, and I put them on the ground. And he looks at me and says, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to put them on the ground. You're a lunatic." He picks up the big 2x4, and he goes, "Argh." He's got it right from the end, and it's super long, and he just goes, "Argh." And he misses my head by about this much.
In fact, he takes the same kind of prerogatives that an author would take over his characters. He's kind of, if you like, ensuring or trying to ensure his literary immortality through writing a work of fiction, if you like, that is based in everybody's fact.
You don't leave it like that. Move it over, move it around the other side. Pick up that bed, straighten up the shelves, see what's wrong with those shelves, what's wrong with them.
The shelves?
Yes, what's wrong?
Not straight, perhaps?
What? And that should be 25 or 100, you see? But move them nice, don't leave it like that. This is a scandal. That's a scandal. Okay. All right, now this, where do you put that? Quick.
That?
Quick.
I don't know, in the closet?
See that corner there? Put them all together. One mixed up pile. See, this is a mixed up pile. This is falling to pieces. all right? So, this doesn't look bad here. All right, then, so I'll come up and inspect when you think you're ready. Let's do a good job. See, I shouldn't have to tell you these things. Where are you? I shouldn't have to tell you. You're going to leave that. Well, all this, wait, you have no time to do that. All right, and I'll come and inspect. You probably won't be ready.
Comme l'être humain a toujours un côté un peu masochiste, il aime bien venir dans un endroit pour se faire engueuler.
Vous n'êtes pas les bienvenus pour demander aux gens, ok? Là, ils jouent les paresseux, les petits cons. No, this is called harassment, you know. They're looking for the fucking wishing well. They're too lazy. They're too fucking lazy to walk into the store and just look. Incredible.
And there was this aristocratic, well-educated guy who was staying there, and George said to him, hey, I've got a job for you to do. And George very casually undid his shoelace, took off his sock, handed the guy his sock, and he said, here, take this. The cat has had a shit on the back stairs, and I want you to clean it up. But make sure you wash the sock afterwards, because it's one of my favorites. You know, I see George walking past, and the guy's following him. He's like, but George, I don't understand. Why are you angry with me? And George just looked back at him, and he said, it's a test of character, man. It's a test of character.
Just study!
Georges est sa capote, il saute. Georges est un Bernard l'ermite, il est dans sa coquille, il sort, il rentre, il sort, il rentre. Il est là, il sort pas, il est dans son territoire. Sa vie, c'est ça, sa vie, c'est Shakespeare and Company, c'est tout. Il n'est pas solitaire, il est entouré de gens, il leur donne à manger, il les engueule. Je crois que Georges vit dans Shakespeare Company comme les animaux vivent au fond de la mer. They're at the bottom of the sea and they go there, bite when you have to, kick when you have to. Et c'est ça, c'est sous-marin.
Hey, friends. I'm a Sufi. When I drink, I'm more fanatic.
I'm getting this one for the drummer.
I'm bored by young Americans. They don't know anything about words. They don't believe words. You know, like, how could awesome ever come to be applied to a couple of Big Macs and a fries when you're hungry? You know, as an emotional result of how you eat. Oh, awesome! I mean, awesome is the fucking volcano exploding under your feet. The meteorite coming through the atmosphere. God's power in general. That 60-meter high tidal wave, which is about to sweep you and your life savings, you know what I mean? That is awesome.
Je sais que tout le monde sait que Georges veut pas que la fontaine marche, ça l'emmerde qu'il y ait des gens qui viennent boire à la fontaine. Voilà. Je sais pas ce qu'il a fait, pourquoi elle marche plus, mais elle marche de temps en temps, il doit la bloquer, je sais pas ce qu'il fait. J'ai bu à cette fontaine il y a 5-6 ans, mais il y a déjà 2-3 ans qu'elle marche plus.
Georges, c'est un phénomène, puisque quand il prend des vacances, il descend au 3e étage pour aller au 1er étage. Et quand il est au 1er étage, il voit cet arbre en fleurs au printemps, et Notre-Dame derrière. Alors bien sûr, il voulait couper l'arbre. Ça l'énervait un peu parce que, bien sûr, il regarde le monde vu de sa librairie. Il est rarement à l'extérieur. Il dit, est-ce que tu peux couper et tout? Mais je dis, on coupe pas les arbres.
His view was a simple one. The trees blocked the good photographic shot of the front of the store. People would get slightly demented and in a very misplaced wish to please George. I remember one guy hanging off the tree and sawing off branches and throwing them into the crowd. You know, another guy who would go out and every evening steadily try to poison them.
Hear ye! Hear ye!
This is all Sylvia Beach Whitman's idea to put on Midsummer Night Dream, and I think their enthusiasm will make up for the marvelous errors they're going to make.
Don't let this happen. That is what it is. Don't do it!
You introduce yourselves as Eli, and I'm playing the part of Theseus. Okay. Theseus will be here. Tell him to come in.
Brett!
Fred! You're in the cast, right? Right. Hear ye! Hear ye! Ladies and gentlemen of Paris, I'm both pleased and privileged to command this dramatic reading of William Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Now, fair Hippolyta, our nuptial hour draws on apace. 4 happy days brings in another moon, but oh, methinks how slow this old moon wanes. She lingers my desires like to a stepdame or a dowager, long withering out a young man's revenue.
4 days will quickly sleep themselves in night.
Well, go that way!
I'll put the girdle about the earth in 40 minutes. Come, child, he is the vile that draws a sword on thee.
Je vois Georges en fantôme tous les jours. Quand il aura disparu, je continuerai à voir Georges tous les jours. On l'entend crier au 3e, et puis il sort du 1er, et après il est dans la petite maison, et il ressort. C'est comme un diable dans sa boîte.
Are you cool enough, monsieur? Come on.
When I came to Paris and found myself living in the same street as the original Shakespeare and Company shop, and in fact living in the same building where Sylvia Beecher used to live in the apartment underneath this one. Then I discovered George's shop and couldn't quite figure out the relationship. And then these references to Sylvia Beach Whitman began to surface. And then also up on the first floor in that sort of flop house, there are all these books, which obviously come from the original Shakespeare and Company lending library.
Et au début des années 50, donc George Whitman, qui la connaissait très bien, qui était un ami à elle, a décidé d'ouvrir ici comme pour continuer la tradition.
I began to figure out that in a way George's enterprise was Shakespeare and Company 2, you know, the sequel.
The 50s was a time right after the war when Paris was thronged by expatriate writers, young American kids and English kids hoping to relive the life that has been pre-war. People like Hemingway and Joyce came to Paris and made it famous as a place to write. I like the American style of doing things compared to the French. Most of the French writers come from the petty bourgeoisie or the bourgeoisie. They come from moneyed families and have time to write. In America, we have a lot of ordinary people like John Steinbeck, and Edgar Lee Masters would earn money as a dishwasher. Some writers in America may be not quite as intellectual as the French writers. Baldwin was the son of a preacher, and he did some preaching himself and so on. He'd taste my cooking from time to time. We were pretty good friends. But I never felt close to him like I did to Richard Wright. We were both members of the Communist Party, and we had the same point of view of live for humanity instead of waiting for pie in the sky when you die, that sort of thing. This group was called Two Cities. It was headed by a man named Jean Foncette who was studying to become a doctor. He would be dissecting corpses in the hospital across the street from here. Then he'd come to his office here in the bookstore, but he did edit a magazine which published his friends, Miller and Ennis, and he was always befriended by Lawrence Durrell, who, living in Paris, naturally we'd see quite a lot. This was his favorite bookstore in Paris. And like Anderson Ennis, he liked to meet the public. She'd come here every summer for quite a few years, and we would exchange books. She was the one we knew the best of the whole crowd. So it was quite a party we had every time she signed her books here. There was a little rivalry between them. Miller and Durrell and her. Well, the 60s was another group of writers living here. Sean has met here, and they debated Tel-Cal, and they were opposite sides of the fence. Philip Soler was Tel-Cal, and he debated them. There was very animated debates. Sorry to say, I didn't take that too damn seriously.
On était donc un groupe qui était né en 68. Bon, on n'avait pas les mêmes idées les uns et les autres, parce que certains étaient communistes, d'autres étaient contre, étaient trotskistes, d'autres étaient ni l'un ni l'autre. Alors il y avait une espèce de querelle politico-littéraire assez âpre, hein, assez méchante entre nous, mais amusante en même temps, assez drôle. Cette espèce d'éclair qui est passé entre Shakespeare & Co. et Change. Ça a été quand même un éclair fulgurant.
The Beat generation moved into the Beat Hotel just down the street, and every day Corso and Ginsberg would come by. We show these people, poor people, love to meet. People who were making a living playing a guitar on the streets, you know, that were almost penniless, so we'd send them to me. Bill Burroughs would spend every afternoon in our library, but he was on drugs doing research in medical textbooks.
Il me racontait toutes sortes d'histoires sur les insectes tropicaux, dans les forêts tropicales, les diverses drogues qu'il trouvait là chez les Indiens, etc. Corso était un personnage grotesque. Avec lui, c'était le conflit éternel. Même Ginsberg avait pris une chaise pour lui casser la tête. Il disait à Ginsberg qu'il admirait Hitler, par exemple.
Once he came to borrow money off George and used the manuscript as collateral. He went away for a while and came back again to claim back his manuscript, and George had misplaced it. So, of course, Corso had no copy. Got very, very angry about that, and wandered off, turned up a few hours later with a few Arab friends of his and started pillaging books off the shelf.
He would earn more by selling his original notebooks, which he would illustrate with other things. So I bought a few of them, and he would steal them back. But in the last days, we were reconciled. His friends had died, Burroughs had died, Ginsberg had died, and he felt his time was close, so he was a little nostalgic. There was no use in being enemies.
I really admire what he's done, and sometimes when I was younger I wouldn't quite understand why, you know, all these people were in what was, you know, our home. I wanted my own room and people who would stay there, you know, indefinitely, not come and go. But now I understand the philosophy of it more.
There are tests, she said, when you change who you really are to please me. You fail. Right now there's very few values except capitalism. And when you only have capitalism, people say, oh, you're a poet? How much money do you make?
And this is your lifeline. You can think of something independent of your life. And the fact that there's a separation between the two means that you're a little more adventurous and you should be careful.
I mean, I'm going to die soon.
No. It means you should be careful driving.
As old age creeps up on me, I think more and more how I just accidentally, I never finished my 7-year trip around the world on foot. When I left Honduras, I traveled with a man who tried to make a revolution there, and he failed. So he was going on horseback to Chinandega in Nicaragua, and we take turns riding the horse. It's a very wild country there. I used to tramp through the jungles reciting the poems of Garcia Lorca and to myself. I heard all these howling monkeys. It sounded like lions and tigers. I would sleep at night and way out on the beach, far away from the land, far away from the forest, to see what was going on, because I didn't know what all those noises were. I was living no water, you know. I would drink the dew off the leaves in the morning, until I came to a little wild coconut tree and broke a coconut and drank the coconut milk and was having a rest there, washing my clothes in the seawater, when a bunch of Indians followed me up. My tracks say, this is no country, you can't travel there. So I signed on as a seaman on a sugar freighter going to Honolulu. We were on strike in Hilo, and I never get back. I never finished my trip, and I'm sorry about it. Now I don't travel, people come to visit me here. All the world is my school, and all humanity is my teacher.
One day when George was up in the library and he saw these three young girls with backpacks outside, in his usual kindly way, he thought he'd offer them a bed for the night. So he yelled down, "Hey, girls, come on up, I got a bed up here for you." So they looked up at him and one said, "I bet you have, you dirty old bastard."
Make it quick.
Some in French. Some are in French, but they're guys.
Yeah, but they're out of date now.
In 2 weeks.
You sure you don't want this one?
No, thank you.
Look, yeah. Want a coffee with it? Would you like coffee with it?
He's kind of like a naughty little boy, you know. He likes to joke and trick.
You were very clever.
I got my brains from you, I think.
I deny that. That is not true at all.
And he used to feed the cat dog food, saying, "This is going to change it into a dog, Sylvia."
All right, well, you can cut the next. You can cut some. No, don't. Cut some first.
Do the hokey pokey and turn around. That's what it's all about.
I have seen him come back early in the morning from the Ile Saint Louis with a box of meat, raw meat that he had found behind some restaurant, another sort of discarded food objects. And he was so proud of what he had found. He was on his way back to cook it for all those kids who were sleeping upstairs. I'm sure they've all survived.
Everyone help themselves. More spicy for you?
No, plenty of spicy.
All right.
Oh, plenty of spicy too.
Well, are we going to Piney tonight?
Yes.
All right.
Stuff stinks. Reminds me of like having to mop floors after parties. More sugar!
Did you find this?
Huh?
Rishka? Hammer down.
When did you finish it?
This is great. What we're launching tonight, as everyone knows, is KMZ, the magazine, and the official Shakespeare and Company website. Kilometer Zero is the best new writing in Paris and around the world. Straight from Detroit, straight from Motown.
Motown?
The Temptations!
I can go home as much as I want. Say.
Bravo. Push.
Oh my god, did you pick the rat? Oh my goodness!
It tastes.
Sewage lines. Oh, I know what Paris has for dinner tonight. Oh.
Feel nice. Feel good.
I hate you. I hate you.
Bookstore's going to close. Nous allons filmer. Once again. That's it.
Where's my things? Where's my things?
The impression you make. That one too. Guess we cut about even again, Tommy. Let's go to bed.
Take my bed and you die.
To do stuff. Yeah, so there's the whole kind of movement to narrow things down into an existence, like a kind of accumulating negativity.
That's the entire piece. I mean, you're getting to the point where there's nothing next to do.
And then, like, against that, there's like the excessive forms of Pynchon, where it becomes so difficult and extraordinarily ornate, and everything's kind of plunging in meaning as opposed to a complete negation of meaning. And like these things have become so kind of driven to logical extremities, or illogical extremities.
I actually enjoy reading. I mean, I'm terribly ignorant about modern literature, really.
To do stuff.
En gros, on va dire qu'on quitte le monde du discours pour aller vers un monde d'images. L'image est plus près des sens. Le mot, il a l'attrait. C'est-à-dire, on quitte Jésus qui est une abstraction pour aller vers d'images qui est une nouvelle abstraction.
What do you mean by junk culture? Because I mean, there's a fetish of like real junk culture, as in crisp packet type of culture, right. Or like litter culture and bum culture. But that's different from popular culture.
I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I feel drunk all the time. And I wish to hell we didn't have to die. Ah, you're a bastard, Mr. Death. And I wish you didn't have no look in here, because it's too damn beautiful for anyone to die.
It's over. I know that Paris will never be the same for me. And there will never be another Shakespeare company. In the writer's room, I pull down a book and 50,000 francs falls out. Cash. And the next time George is there, I said, George, there's 50,000 francs. Oh, yeah, I couldn't find that. And sticks it in his pocket. And he lives on nothing. He spends nothing on himself. Nothing. Money, I don't know what he does with his money. He's just a true bohemian. He is that bookstore.
Well, you know, I'll tell the story about Zoe and Julia. 20 years ago, come and sit down, dear.
Julia?
20 years ago, there was a German student of philosophy who came to visit my bookstore. And when I was reading in the library upstairs, I first of all asked him to, he said he could live here like so many other students from all over the world. And one day he met a beautiful French girl in the library, and then he disappeared, and I didn't hear anything more until 15 years later. His daughter came to visit me, Zoe, and he had sent her to live in my bookstore the way he had lived, because he thought it was a good education. So now I'm sort of a stepfather to two beautiful German girls who make me very happy. I have two stepdaughters, Julia and Zoe, so I have plenty of hugs and kisses to keep me happy. So that's my little story. They're going to supervise me while I cut my hair. All right.
Ooh, okay.
You know, this is a very bad way to cut your hair because it makes your clothes all covered with wax.
Oh.
And it makes a big
tie
smell.
off, maybe,
and
no?
makes a real smell and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to do it or shall I do it?
I've never seen her.
I've never seen it either.
What?
I've never seen it.
Well, you have to do it this way, you see.
Oh my
like
God.
this. And then you burn it everywhere, you know. And you put it out before it burns too far. You see? Don't let it burn too far. Just burn it a little bit like that, you see? And then light it quick.
I'm scary, George.
It gives an awful odor to things. It makes things bad. All right.
But don't cut too much. Don't burn too much. Gosh, that's enough.
Enough?
Yes.
Well, you can see, a barber would fool around for 20 minutes. It hardly took more than 20 seconds. So my main thing in life is friendship, love and friendship. That's my main thing in my life is love and friendship.
Actually, what happened with the new cat?
Shall I recite my favorite poem that I wrote myself?
Yes, please do.
I wrote it so long ago, can I remember it? Among the visions which my fancies trace, there was one brightest star, one face, one image from afar, filled with seraphic grace. Each poem is her heart's fantasy. Each flower and tree is framed within her memory. Each dream, each midnight, and each dawn are garments thoughts of her put on. Each beam of light from the empyrean blue, with her unfolds the good, the beautiful, the true.
Oh, God.
All righty. Thank you, Missy. Thank you, everybody. All right.